Hey everybody, it's Wednesday. You know what that means? It's time for Faded Happy Hour. Let me know if you guys can hear me in the chat. You should be able to. It's I got no Adam this week, so it's me running things. Might have a little trouble here and there, so bear with me. But welcome to Faded Happy Hour. We do this every Wednesday. Audio's good, fantastic. Thank you, Kenny, in the chat for helping us out. So yeah, it's Wednesday, so we got Faded Happy Hour. We've got some fantastic bourbon drinks that we're going to be making. Before we get too far into things, if it's your first time tuning in, smash that follow button. Doesn't cost you a damn thing, helps the program. If you got it like that, if you got some shekels to throw around, hey, why not smash that subscribe button? That helps the program. If you have Amazon Prime, you get a couple free Twitch subscriptions each month. So if you didn't know that, you weren't using it, you might as well give it to us. Check out Faded LA every Friday. It's an awesome stand-up comedy show. We've got a fantastic lineup for this Friday. Tickets are actually going very fast. Last week was sold out. This week is looking on pace to. So with us this week, comedian. I'm about to cut to you. Comedian, fantastic lady, Sarah Tiana. How you doing, bud?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Good. Glad to have you. Tatum.
I can't figure out why I'm not tagged on Instagram, and I can't figure it out.
99% sure that I did. I don't know.
I know you tagged me the right way in the comedy show, so certainly.
I think I did.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Anyway.
Let me try doing. Let me see if I heart it, you'll be able to find it.
If you heart it?
Yeah. No, like it'll go to the top of your. If it'll go to the top, maybe you got like a couple between then. Oh yeah. Shouts to Kenny. Thank you for hitting the subscribe button. So we are, I believe we are pretty close to our next subscription goal. I think we're at like 24 out of 30, so we're almost at 30. People who pay to see us do this. That's fun.
Wow, that's nice.
I know, interesting.
That's okay. People like cocktail recipes.
Well, it started during the pandemic. We were doing it with bartenders that were out of work, and they would come on. I'd put their Venmo up on the screen, and people at home would learn how to make drinks, and they tip. We'd like put the recipes up the day before so they could make them. And some bartenders are making a couple $100 a night to like not leave their house.
That's good.
So yeah, buddy, he hates service industry.
Oh yeah.
So anytime I bring him up,
you know,
he's very upset. So as the guest, you have first crack on what we're going to be making. We've got obviously the mint julep. We've got the blackberry mint julep, and then a drink called the lighter side, which is a peach schnapps and bourbon situation. What would you like to start out with?
I'll take a mint julep.
Mint julep, let's do it.
I'll feel like I'm at the Kentucky Derby.
Fantastic. And let's get this.
This is how I normally drink my bourbon. So, but not like, so normally my drink of choice at a bar is I'll order a bourbon on the rocks with mint leaves and a splash of soda. So it's almost like a julep without sugar.
Let me just figure out which one is the bigger one. Yeah, pretty much. Speaking of which, let me grab the bar sugar and let me grab
more bourbon
liqueur before we get started.
Sugar.
And now, so you know, we got the peach. You're from Georgia, correct?
Yes.
Fantastic. Braves fan. Any other sports affiliations in the area? Or
Georgia Bulldogs. I'm going to the game this weekend in Atlanta. They're playing Oregon. At the Mercedes-Benz Dome, so looking forward to finally seeing someone win a game there.
Put this recipe up on the screen. Where did my notes app go? Son of a bitch. God damn it.
Oh,
I know. I finally got things right.
You got the notes app?
Oh, there it is. All right, perfect. So this is the julep. Just put it on the screen.
Yeah. A julep is julep is usually bourbon, mint leaves, bar sugar.
Yep. I'm just trying to. I got.
So I'm just knowing from memory
is what I'm. It a million times. What's going on? Okay, there we go. All right. I was like, what the fuck happened? Like I said, normally Adam runs this and it goes very smoothly, but I am quite terrible at it. So. That's
look at that. That looks good.
So yeah, we got it in there. So
I'll put it in the chat when you call them out. This guy. That's very nice.
That's Kenny. He's our producer who Faded the stand-up show. So he's the one who runs the sound booth and helps us out on that. So let me
Have you ever had a mint julep before?
I have. We've made them a couple times on here.
You have?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not the first person you've made a mint julep for.
You know, we've had a lot of, we had a fucking 70-week pandemic to learn a bunch of different drinks. So, you know, a lot of territory was covered during that time, thankfully. All right, that should be good enough.
Were you a bartender?
No, I really didn't learn any drink recipes until the pandemic was when I kind of had to force myself to.
So I was a bartender at the Beverly Hills Hotel for a while.
Oh, no kidding.
Yes.
What was your favorite drink to make? Or actually, so what was your favorite drink to make? First off.
Well, we had a drink called the Beverly Hills Iced Tea that was which I started telling a joke about because this guy from New York came once and he was like, what's the difference between a Long Island iced tea and a Beverly Hills iced tea? And I was like, oh, ours has less alcohol and it's more expensive. Welcome to Beverly Hills. And he was like, that's hilarious. I'll take 4. And oh yeah, our camera's frozen. I don't know if that matters.
Shit.
So yeah.
Oh no. Is it the Zoom that's frozen?
There he goes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now it's fine.
Hello.
Coriander, what's up? Coriander is one of our viewers tuning in from Denmark.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is that close to Amsterdam? Because I'm going there for Christmas.
It's closer to,
Holland,
it's closer to there than it is here.
Yeah, so Beverly Hills iced tea is basically no tequila, so white liquors like vodka, rum, gin, Chambord, lemonade, Sprite, and elderflower liqueur.
I love elderflower.
Me too.
Liqueur. It does.
Sometimes I'll just ask for an elderflower and soda, like a Saint Germain and soda, as just like I want to have a cocktail and hang, but I don't want to get drunk or intoxicated.
Because elderflower really helped me like gin, because I didn't really like gin very much before, and then I started somewhere on it. Same thing with Aperol. Aperol helped me like gin a lot more. I probably made this completely wrong, didn't I? I did make this completely wrong. You're supposed to make it in the fucking glass and then add ice.
Just pour it in the glass.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You can take the ice out.
Yeah. Well,
Did you stir it?
What's that?
Do you want me to do it?
No, I'm an idiot. I'm so dumb.
Well,
sometimes
you didn't need me to come all the way over here for me to tell you that.
God damn it. I'm an idiot. Oh my god. Hey, enough. I completely fucked this up, but
I'll tell you if you fucked it up.
I think I did.
No.
Yeah, because I was supposed to do it in the glass, and I didn't. I was supposed to add the bourbon. Try it and see if I fucked up too bad.
See.
That one needs a little more bourbon.
Oh, I think it's good.
Good? I didn't fuck it up too bad?
No. No, it's good.
What was your least favorite drink to make?
Hot tea.
Ooh.
At the bar. We used to have all these, we used to have a Saudi prince that would stay with us. And so he actually wasn't staying with us. He would just come into the bar at night. And like he rented the room next to the bar because it shared a patio with the bar. It was $1,600 a night. And he would rent it for a month at a time just to go to the bathroom in there when he came to the bar.
That is
insane. Right. And then he had this butler that would make it. Basically, he would, a butler that did all his stuff to make sure there was no poison in it. But then 25 people would usually come into the bar with them and they all wanted hot mint tea. And it was like fresh mint leaves and hot water. And
because a lot of those guys don't drink, right?
Right.
So they be fancy in other ways by asking for absurd fucking shit that isn't alcohol.
They just wanted to hang out in a bar. And so they wanted to order something. And so, which is fine. I was glad that they were ordering something. Yeah. It's usually either espresso or mint tea. And so that was just like, It wasn't hard to make. It was just hard to find that many tea kettles and cups and like
gotcha.
get all the accoutrements that went with it. You know, you order a glass of wine, I bring you a wine glass and a decanter, and I poured it. That's
Fancy.
very simple place setting, but when you order hot tea,
what were you saying?
I'm saying elderflower spritz is the business, and you are right.
Oh yeah, I love an elderflower spritz.
Mhm.
Goddamn, love me some Aperol, love me some Campari. Took me a while to come around on it. Didn't like grapefruit very much before.
Is that what Aperol is?
Yeah, it's the one of the drinks that we're making is the lighter side has a little bit of that in it.
Yeah, that was the only thing that made me hesitant about that one, because I was like,
really?
oh, I don't know if I'm gonna like this.
It's like a half an ounce. You'll probably barely even be able to tell that it's
Okay.
there. It's good. I like it.
What's your drink of choice?
Usually just an old fashioned. I'm pretty
just an old fashioned. That's still pretty.
That's not
like
that fancy.
No, not but it just like takes a few things. Do you get those Woodford Reserve cherries?
So I usually have the what's it called? Not the other one, Luxardo. I just ran out of them the other day.
Oh, are those different kinds of cherries?
It's
like
the maraschino, same sort of situation.
They're like bright red.
Like
they're not dark.
The dark red.
Dark red.
Yeah. Are the Woodford ones bright
they're
red?
They're dark red. No.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm saying like not like a Shirley Temple cherry.
I do like those ones too, though. I like the fucking
this ain't a buffet kit.
The pitted ones.
Oh, the pitted ones.
That's the name of the brand. I think it's called Pitted. Or I think that's what it's called. But they're like fucking, you could see from space neon red.
Yes.
Goddamn cherries.
It's like, does anybody remember those like in my school, because I grew up in Georgia, like they would have like, you would get apples with your lunch, your school lunch, and they would be bright red because they came from a can. They were like candied apples.
Oh, yeah.
That was like your dessert on the plate, but they were so gross. It was just like they were like rings of apples, you know, but they were bright red from the dye or whatever was in there. It was so gross.
Fernet. What are your thoughts on Fernet? Do you pro Fernet or?
I don't really like Fernet because that's black licorice, right?
Yeah, I don't really like any of the black licorice stuff. We had a lot of friends in college that were really into Sambuca at one point, and I was like, this shit is disgusting.
Yeah, an aperitif. Yeah. So if I'm gonna have an aperitif, I'll have like a Kahlua. Like if I'm gonna have, but now that I'm so old and I have a kid, like if I have a Kahlua past 5 o'clock, I'm gonna be up all night.
Goddamn, we are actually last week we made something with espresso. We pretty much made it was an espresso martini, but with tequila instead.
What?
Yeah, it was pretty good.
It was?
Yeah.
Who ordered that?
Who did we have on last week? It was Harper Rose Drummond. I don't know if you know her. She's good.
No.
She's a good comedian.
Great.
Funny.
I love that.
Funny lady.
Okay.
Yeah. You got any gigs or stuff that you want to promote?
I have any well, I mean, currently I'm on Inside College Football for the football season.
Goddamn.
So I'll be roasting all the picks the host make wrong every week.
Nice.
And then I have a show on Prime Video coming out for football. I took Derek Carr and Devontae Adams. I
believe in Derek Carr.
I don't know why anybody.
I bet he's going to throw for a lot of yards because I bet he's going to be playing behind 20 every fucking game.
I don't think so.
I think they stink. I think Derek Carr is rubbish.
Okay, I know. I think the opposite. I think he's completely underrated. I think he's had a lot of really bad luck with losing players, coaches, drama. You know what I mean? Like there's been a lot that's been going on since that team has moved to Vegas. But I think Devontae Adams going there is a huge sign for me. Like
that helps.
He throws a great ball. He throws a really hard ball.
Well, they've drafted horrendously.
Yeah, I don't know who they drafted this year.
Last year they already cut their fucking first round pick from last year, Leatherwood. They fucking.
Wait, I think we picked him up.
Oh, really? I don't understand it. Like, how do you go from like being that good at Alabama to being that bad anywhere else? Like, usually the offensive line is a skill that translates pretty
It's
well
weird how at Alabama, like I feel like their receivers transfer well into the NFL, but their quarterbacks never seems to do well ever.
Even Mac Jones, I'm just like, that guy's like okay.
I think Mac Jones has some potential. Like now he's gotten a little shredded this season. So
he'll be better than any Alabama quarterback has been in the last 20 years. Who was the last fucking decent one? Fucking McElroy barely played for fucking
Tua. He does commentary now. Aaron. Tua. Oh, the Tuanons are going to come after you for saying that.
Listen, he stinks. I was one of those people who said like coming out of college he was going to stink, and so far I've been right. I don't think Bryce Young's going to be very good.
No, I don't think so either. But like it's weird. It's very bizarre to me how people draft quarterbacks so early because they don't always pan out. Like, who's the last first round quarterback pick that has really panned out? Cam Newton did pretty well.
Oh, first overall?
Well, I'm just saying first round.
I mean Burrow.
Yes, Burrow did well, but he didn't win the Super Bowl.
Came pretty damn close.
Close. But think about who the quarterbacks who are really good right now.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers wasn't a first, like he was late in the first round.
Oh, but he was
passed over like 3 or 4 times, right?
True. But also like 15 years ago, I feel like quarterback drafting was different. Like I feel like a lot of guys are drafting guys in the first round that aren't first round talents because they need a quarterback and they're like not patient enough to be like, all right, well, why don't we wait until next year where there's a quarterback where we actually want?
Well, that's what I like what the Falcons have been doing. They did that last season and with this season, like with Terry Fontenot, who's like our new GM, like he doesn't draft need, he drafts the best player available at that time.
Yeah.
And I think that's great because then you can fill those voids with more respected talent if you have these first round picks to trade away to people who might need them.
And I'd rather have Ritter and London than fucking Pickett and whoever the second round wide receivers were. Yeah. Like that seems like a much better fit. And like now you have Ritter who's got somebody to fucking he's got Pitts and he's got London, 2 gigantic targets to throw to.
But with Burrow, it was like they needed a quarterback and he was the best available.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like.
Yeah. But then there's I think this year was kind of a correction where like a guy like Malik Willis would have gone in the first round 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
And a guy like fucking Sam Howell, who I don't understand what anybody sees in that motherfucker. He's like a shittier Baker Mayfield, and they're like, oh yeah, this guy's a first round talent. Luckily, he like went to the 3rd round. I'm just like, all right, maybe there is a little bit of a correction because like you don't miss on many first round linemen,
right? Well, the Falcons have missed on a lot of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we had our entire offensive line were first round picks at one point. I think 3 years ago, and just constantly getting mowed over. Like it didn't matter. Like you need tested people on the line, unless it's, like, I mean, I don't even know, unless you're getting Aaron Donald or JJ Watt, you know what I mean? Like,
I meant on the offensive line. But as far as the edge rushers, those seem to be a little hit or miss. Like even the guys like Thibodeau, who's like a freak if he stays healthy, but he can't stay healthy. He's never been able to stay healthy.
Yeah, I guess I'm always thinking like Jordan Davis went. Like he's
he could be really good,
right? Yeah,
I don't know. He might be.
Yeah, no, he's gonna be good.
I think he's gonna be good. I think all those Georgia guys are gonna be good. Like Nakobe Dean, I was like that guy.
Oh,
how he slipped to the second round.
Yeah, because he also is like a 4.0. Like he's such a smart player. So anyway, I wish them all well.
Yeah,
it's so bizarre to me how much college football has changed just with the transfer portal and NIL deals. I love it too. I'm like, get out, move around, do your thing. You know what I mean? Like if you can't fit here, fit there, whoever's the right choice. But I think assessing the draft, it's like all these shows about fantasy football where you're like, it all comes down to luck. Like it's all luck. Like,
a lot of it, yeah.
I had Jonathan Taylor last year, and I think I got him in the 2nd round. You know what I mean? Like,
running backs I always feel like nobody should ever sign a running back to a second contract. It's just like what, like maybe it'll hit.
Unless they're Frank Gore, and who gets like 8.
And even Frank Gore can play till the fucking wheels fall off.
Yeah. I'm sorry, we're talking so much football.
Oh
These people probably don't want any of this football talk right now. I'm sorry. What should we talk about? What do you guys want us to talk about?
I mean, everybody seems content with football talk.
Okay.
It seems everybody's fine with that.
I'm wearing a shirt that says 40. This is my other thing. So I have new merch.
Oh, hell yeah.
I just taped a special.
Who'd you tape it with?
I taped it at the Comedy Store.
Oh, nice.
To sell myself.
Mm.
So that's the Comedy Store's new brand or new, I guess, thing they're going to try out. They're just going to start filming them themselves because they can film them for super cheap and they look beautiful in house.
They already have
and the room.
Yeah.
The room fits $450, so it's a perfect room.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of these clubs are getting into the content market too, which I love. You know what I do hate is some of these clubs that you'll headline for them and then they'll be like, "Oh, do you want your tape?" You'll be like, "Yeah, awesome, send that over to me." And they'll tell you that it costs money. And I'm just like, no, it does not. I'm not asking you to edit anything. I'm not, you have it on a fucking server.
Right.
I'm gonna put up videos with your fucking club's name in the back.
Yeah.
That's my fucking that's your game.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. So the comedies, I taped it May 1st. We finally finished editing and color correcting and figuring it out. It's only half an hour, but it was just like a lot of stuff that I needed to retire to move on from, or just wanted to kind of get down before I forgot it, because I don't do stand-up as much as I did, because all my writing is like what I do the most, you know?
You graduated from stand-up. You only have to do it when you feel like it. That's tough.
I know.
Oh my God.
Well, I mean, I still love it, but it's just like not the drive. And I find it very rewarding to write for other comedians. And, you know, like I still work with Spade a lot, which is why I just found his hat and I'm like, yes. But like, you know, and I go on the road with him sometimes or with Tosh, and like that to me is like a little bit more fun. Like there's no pressure. Yeah. I'd get paid just as much as I would as a headliner.
You're not a sicko anymore, is what it comes down to. Is you're not somebody who will drive fucking an hour to do a gig for nothing, because you have the stuff that getting that leads you to. Yes. It's good.
Well, now too, with my knowledge in sports, it's kind of like I'll write for these shows and then I'll also be able to be on camera. So like with college football, I'm writing all of that. I send them scripts, they approve. Once they've approved the jokes, then I format them into like a cohesive script. And then once they approve that, I shoot it myself in my house or wherever I want to shoot it. If I'm on the road, I can shoot it in Phoenix or whatever. And then for the Prime Video show, like we just shoot that one day a week here. So I only have to be in town one day a week. So I can go, it's just like, oh, I can get health insurance with my real job. And I can like go on the road.
I was trying to do the same
needed.
thing. I was writing for an NBA show last season, but it's not coming back this year. So I'm just like, all right, well, how can I fucking finesse the same thing? Because it was like a couple hours worth of work a week.
You know, I ran a sketch comedy company out here for a long time. I started a sketch comedy company out here. I don't know, in 2005 or something. And like, because we couldn't afford groundlings, and so, but it was like where I kind of learned to write, and that's where I met my writing partner, and he worked at Village Roadshow at the time, and he was just like a script analysis guy, and he read Save the Cat and like all those books about screenwriting, and I just had jokes and ideas.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm not really classically trained.
Once him and I started working, and at the time I was on Reno 911, so I like Tom and Ben like really kind of helped me understand the feature writing game. And I read their book, Writing Movies for Profit, which is a great book if any of you are looking for a great screenplay writing book. And so we started writing movies, and every time we write one, I'm like, this is a savings account. Because as soon as I sell one, I'm going to sell more. And we sold one last year.
The first one's the hardest one.
The first one's the hardest one. We wrote a Christmas movie because people have to buy those every year.
They sure do.
Fun fact. And so we sold a Christmas movie, and like now we're just in the rewrite process and the optioning process. And it's like this fantastic learning curve that I had no idea about. And like, I know if this movie actually gets made, we'll end up selling those other ones. So all that work that we did in the 10 years it took us to finally sell one. So anytime we have downtime, when I'm not writing on a show, we're writing a movie.
There you go.
So That's my advice.
And is that when that's coming out this Christmas? Does it have a
No, not this
name
Christmas.
yet?
We're still in
next
rewrite, so it'll be
word.
next Christmas.
Well,
It'll be
folks,
shot next year.
Keep an eye out for that. Why don't we get into drink number 2? Why don't we we'll do the peach one?
Sure.
Switch it up.
Let's switch it up.
Since we've got
I can keep drinking this, right?
What's that?
I can keep drinking this.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Let me just pull up the recipe.
Oh yes, David Spade, famous ASU alum. Actually, I'm going to be in Phoenix with him next month. So if anybody lives in Phoenix, I don't know where we're performing, but it's September 15th.
So Liz is actually in Arizona.
No, you're talking about that outside. She's got her headphones in.
Oh,
she's not listening.
Yeah, she's not listening.
Thank God. She's the one having the most fun in here because she's not listening to us.
But yeah, normally anytime she hears ASU brought up, I'm required to make fun of it.
Oh yes, she and I were talking about Arizona, but that's also Nick Nemeth, Dolph Ziggler. You know,
Yes,
he went to law school out there.
Good pal of both of us.
Where did he? I don't know where he went to law.
Kent State for undergrad.
But he moved out there to go to law school.
Yeah, Arizona State. He went to for
Arizona State.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
All right, so this one we're gonna actually get the fucking recipe right. I'm gonna make it correctly this time, not like a fucking dickhead like I did last time. So for this one, you're gonna need the peach liqueur. You're gonna need Aperol. You're gonna need bitters and then a lemon twist for. I need bitters. Let me grab those real quick. And where did you go to Georgia or where did you go to school?
I started at UGA.
Oh, where?
And then I finished at Georgia State in Atlanta.
Nice.
So at the time I was working at, I don't know why I'm looking at the screen, like you guys know. At the time I was working at Six Flags over Georgia.
Oh, word.
So I got that job in high school, performing in kids shows. You know, just randomly. Okay, so like in high school, we didn't have any money, and my mom, like, I really wanted to be a cheerleader, and the cheerleading coach really wanted me to be on the cheer squad, but I didn't have any money for uniforms or anything, and then by my senior year, she was like, I'll just pay for it. And by my senior year, I was too involved in theater to like care about it anymore. Yeah. So I was like, no, I don't want to do it. But she really loved me. And she brought me the Atlanta Journal one day and she was like, hey, they're auditioning for dancers and singers at Six Flags. You should audition. And I remember my art teacher being like, oh, Sarah, you should, this dude, what was his name? Terry Knight. And he was like, you shouldn't audition because they only take really talented people. And I was like, well, you shouldn't have told me that. Like now I'm definitely going.
Yeah.
And so I think about 1,000 people auditioned and I think 23 people made it. And I was one of them. But I was just like I was really bubbly and like happy, like I am
You're
still.
But the cheerleader.
You know, like I'm just nice and jolly and like, so I'm, you know, like you don't want to eat Daffy. He's too tough. You know, like I was like the perfect. I looked like a cheerleader, but I wasn't one. And I could sing and dance, and I was a choreographer in high school, and I did all these like Just Say No shows and stuff because I was such a nerd. So. I auditioned for Six Flags and made it. And so it was this great job for college because I got paid on salary and I only had to work the weekends.
That's not bad.
But then in the summer, I worked 6 days a week. So when we were off school, I worked 6 days a week. And but the commute from Athens was like 2.5 hours. So I didn't have any social life in Athens. I had to leave like Friday afternoon, right after my statistics class, and like beat it back. What's up, Liz?
Do you want one?
Can I have a seltzer?
Yeah, I can give you a
seltzer. I would have to race back to Atlanta to perform Friday night, and then I would leave Sunday after my shows to head back to school and then just start school Monday morning. So I didn't have any social life in Athens, and then a bunch of the people that I performed with at Six Flags were at Georgia State, and so I just transferred there. But that's where I ended up getting into radio.
Yeah.
So I never did stand up in Atlanta.
I was gonna say, because they have a pretty good scene, right?
They have a really good scene, but I didn't know about. So at the time I was going into journalism because I thought I was going to be on CNN. And then I found out that you have to write the news.
That you have to be related to somebody.
Yeah, right. That you had to write the news. And I was like, oh, this is bullshit. I
Yeah.
just read off a prompter, you know, which I think they do now.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't want to do that. But I had a class with a guy that ran the radio station at Georgia State, which happened to be the largest student-run college radio station in the country.
Oh, word.
It was like the most famous college radio station in the country. It's 100,000 watts. So it was just as big as any other radio station at the time. And it was super independent and artsy. Like they played REM before anybody knew who they were. Like I remember meeting Dido.
I was gonna say, are you a lot older than I thought?
Oh, I'm 44. That's why the shirt says 44.
Oh, God.
Oh, cheers.
Cheers.
Yes,
There we go.
I'm very
I thought
old.
it was for Hank Aaron.
That's also what it is.
That was pretty good.
Oh, that is good.
All right. Not
Mhm.
bad.
I can't drink it as fast as the other
Oh,
one,
yeah.
but
No,
it's
you're not
still very
supposed
good.
to drink it as fast as the other one. That one, take our
Yeah,
time.
so he was like, I think he was totally hitting on me, but he was the general manager of the radio station. He was like, do you want to do the news on the radio station? And I was like, oh, sure.
Yeah.
So I was doing the news, but I was like making jokes about a lot of the, like Bill Clinton at the time, you know, and they were like, you can't make jokes about the news. And I was like, well, then I don't want to do it. And they were like, well, you could do entertainment news and make all the jokes you want. And I was like, okay, I'll do that. So then I thought about changing my major to entertainment news, but that's not a major.
Yeah, that's not.
So they were like, why don't you just take film? Because
Yeah.
we have a great film department here in Atlanta. And I was like, oh, okay. And because I was majoring in film, I could minor in theater. And I had never taken an acting class. And so I took my first acting class at Georgia State. Mind you, I had been in theater my whole life. Like,
Yeah.
that's the only reason I even went to church when I was little was because I could be in a play.
Yeah.
My parents didn't go to church. I only went because my friends went. Because I wanted to be in the Christmas plays. And so anyway, once I started minoring in theater, I was like, oh, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And then that kind of led me to LA. But then on Album 88, we had the show on Friday afternoons, me and the general manager and this other guy, and we would interview the comics that came through the Punchline in Atlanta. And so that was, I remember I talked to Tom Rhodes about this all the time because he was one of the first people, David Allen Greer, Bobcat Goldthwait, and Mitch Hedberg was the first comic that ever gave me tickets to a show.
Oh, word.
And so I was like, oh, sure. I mean, I've never seen stand-up, so I'll go. And that was the first comedy show I'd ever been to.
Goddamn.
And people always go, oh, is that when you decided to do stand-up? And I'm like, you don't watch Mitch Hedberg and then go, well, I'm going to do that. Like, that's easy. Like, you just go, oh, I have no idea.
We had a very different first experience because I went and saw Bob Marley.
The Reverend Bob Marley?
No, the main, he's like a.
Yes, the comedian Bob Marley. Yeah. Is it? He's not Reverend Bob Marley?
I don't think so.
Oh, maybe I'm thinking of something.
Reverend Bob Levy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is it Bob?
Bob Marley.
Okay.
But yeah, I went and saw him, and he's like a Maine institution. Everybody in Maine loves him. And I remember seeing it and just being like, I think I started stand up like 3 weeks later. I was just
You're like, I could do better than that.
Yeah, I could this fucking drivel. So. That's very, very different first experience.
Very different. I just saw him and I was like, I can never do that, and didn't even think about it again. And then I moved to LA to be an actor. And then because I worked in radio, I was DJing like weddings and bar mitzvahs. That was my first job out here. And I was doing extra work. And this guy that I DJ'd all these weddings with was in Russell Simmons' Def Poetry Jam. His name was Poetry and still is Poetry. And he would do he was a slam poet. And I would DJ with him all the time. We had so much fun. And he was like, Sarah, you're so funny. Like, you have to do stand-up. And I was like, I can't do stand-up. I don't have a sitcom. Like, I thought you had to have a sitcom and then you could do stand-up. I had no idea how it worked. And so one night I was watching the news in my little studio apartment on Laurel Canyon and Burbank, which was like wish my car got broken into like twice a week. And I was watching the news and this guy had a nail stuck in it. Like he was using a nail gun and the nail ricocheted off of something and it went up into his eye socket, up into his head. And he didn't feel anything. He like worked the whole day and didn't notice. And so they did this whole news story about it. And then I wrote this joke that was like, well, I wouldn't be able to feel 3.5 inches if I got nailed. So what's the big deal? It was like my first joke. And so I just went and tried it because he wouldn't let it go. Like my friend, he's like, you gotta go. I'll be there. I fucking dare you, So I started stand up on a dare and it just worked out. And like now I'm in your house drinking Aperols. This is my journey.
So this is one of my buddies. The first time he's only done stand up once at an open mic, like, and he did it like out of spite. Like he was in Colorado, and it was like an awful fucking open mic that he was just happened to be at. And he said,
are there good open mics that you happen to be at?
I know, but it was in Denver, and he got up on stage. And I forget what it was that he said, but it was something to the effect of, I haven't seen this many terrified people while white people talked since Columbine or whatever, essentially.
Great topical Colorado joke.
Did the one thing, fucking threw the mic back on the stand and fucking walked right.
Hey man, that's his claim to fame.
I was just like, all right, you hit 100% from the field, fucking retire.
You did it. Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, like that's why like comedies don't get enough. Like it says things. If you're not paying attention, you would miss.
Yeah.
Like
I usually watch the Manning cast until they have a war criminal on, and then I'm like, I have to go.
I feel
I'll be like watching it and be like, here's Condoleezza Rice. I'm like, why?
I don't need any other interviews. I'm like, just
you let them talk about football
is enough. I don't need anybody else. Just you two. You guys are the best. But
I
anyway
helped write some jokes for the ESPYS. What was it, 4 or 5 years ago? The year that he hosted. He hates Danica Patrick for some reason. I don't. He
does.
He was like very like. What do you?
Was that the Danica Patrick year?
No, I don't think. No, she hadn't been like around for like 5 years.
So my friend Bennett is the head writer, and the Danica Patrick year was my favorite year because it had my favorite sketch, which my friend Bennett wrote, and it was. Ladies and gentlemen, the Game of Thrones sketch has been cut due to time. And it cuts to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar dressed as Jon Snow holding a sword. And he just goes, what? Like that? That was the whole bit. And literally, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, they reached out to him and he was like, yeah, I'll do it if you let me pick the sword and if you pay me in a sword. So Kareem, because Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, like he's like
a weirdo.
No, but he's like a huge sci-fi nerd.
Oh, I just know. Well, like
no,
I know
he was like one of the head writers of Veronica Mars. Yes, like he is like crazy sci-fi nerd, and he is a big swordsman. And so he was like, "I will do it if you give me the sword, and I get to pick the sword."
How much does the sword cost?
I have no idea.
He had to pick out. I bet he picked out a sword.
But it's the ESPYS, and the ESPYS knows no number. Like I wrote for the ESPYS this year with Steph Curry, and
word.
Yeah, like it was my first year back since the John Hamm year. I was so excited to be invited back. And Steph Curry and his people, like I had been pitching shows with them for a while, and so like they threw my name out there, and then. Like the stuff.
You do a lot of stuff with Wriggle, and he does that show with Curry, right? Is that their?
Yes, they do. Holy Moly. Yes, Wriggle and I used to do a podcast together. Yeah. Wriggle and I met doing the Fox Sports show, and I was writing for that, and then NFL Honors, and then we had a pilot with TBS that didn't go, but like I wrote for that, and then. He just like reached out to me and was like, do you want to do a podcast? And I was like, sure. And then, so I do his Big Slick charity event every year. And that's where I got pregnant, had a baby, and like, here we are. But like the Big Slick. You got
pregnant at the event?
Yeah.
Okay.
By my boyfriend, not
by Rob. No, I mean, I figured as much.
No,
I thought you meant you met the person who you eventually got pregnant with.
No.
At the thing. But
Randomly, Big Slick is this incredible event in Kansas City that Paul Rudd, Jason Sudeikis, Eric Stone Street, Rob Riggle, and David Koechner host. They're all from there. Yeah. And it's like the most insane event. And we all get to play this celebrity softball game. And so like literally all of my celebrity friends come from that event.
Yeah.
Like Haley Joel Osment and I constantly razz each other because he's a huge Dodgers fan. And so like we are constantly like texting each other shit talk. But we met at that event, you know, like all of it comes from that event. And so Riggle, I started going to that event because Riggle and I had a podcast, and then I like became family, and then I got pregnant there. And then this year, the joke, they knew that I got pregnant at the last one, which was in person, because the last couple of years was not.
Oh yeah.
And so this year, James Vanderbeek was there, and who's the best? And
I did see that.
You saw that clip. Yeah, pregnant at Big Slick this year, just because James Vanderbeek is so fertile. I was like, hey, James, I don't want your life inside of me. So you stay over there. And so we got a clip of him laughing at that. And it was a great bit. Yeah. So that's Vanderbeek. Life. Yeah. James Vanderbeek, by the way, one of the greatest human beings.
I was hoping you were going to say absolute monster. Horrible.
Not at all.
No, I'm kidding. Like,
I know. I would love to tell you about people who are monsters.
Oh, but fire off. We love talking about that.
Actually, yeah, like
I haven't really had many bad experiences with people.
No, I mean, even when I see Paul like out in IRL, you know, like I have to remind him who I am because he meets so many people. But like he'll be at the store a lot because not a lot, but he'll come to see Chappelle a decent amount. And Dave and I like Dave actually judged one of my early roast battles when we were still pitching roast battle. They used to have me perform for the pitches. So like if we were pitching to HBO and Russell Simmons was coming in, then I would have to roast Ralphie May or whatever, you know, like, or we're pitching Showtime, then I have to roast Tiffany Haddish for that, whatever. And so Chappelle was one of my judges for that. And then he found me after and was like, you're one of my favorite writers I've ever met. We're going to be lifelong friends. And so I opened for him a few times after that. Until it just, you know, like he has so many people in his realm that I wasn't like on it enough to be like, hey, you know, I don't text him, you know, like it's like, if you want me, you can text me. And I might not see Dave for a year and a half, and then he'll see me and he'll be like, how's your baby? Like, I'm like, how do you remember that? And like, even my boyfriend is still like, I think some of his greatest memories are the times Dave Chappelle has told him he likes his sneakers. You know, like those are like our life's moments.
That's something that always goes a long way in a man's mind.
I don't remember where I was going with that, but yes. Anyway.
How are we liking drink number 2?
I think obviously I'm liking it great because I can't remember my story.
And we're starting sentences that don't fit in.
Oh, Hollywood gossip is the whole point of semi-famous friends. Thank you. This is my whole life. Listen, I got in a huge fight with somebody not a huge fight. I don't really dislike anybody. What's her name? Kate Quigley?
Kate Quigley. Oh yeah. Didn't she used to date Nick?
Oh, I hope not. But
I'm 90% sure.
I just tweeted one time, like my favorite part of being a comedian is gossiping in the green room, because like just like having this kind of conversation in the green room is my favorite part. And it's not even real gossip. We're just like, like, can you remember when this happened? Or remember that? Like, we're just swapping stories. And she just was like, oh, this is so high school. And this is exactly what's wrong with Hollywood. This is why I quit coming to Hollywood. And I was like,
didn't you quit coming to Hollywood because somebody put fentanyl in your Coke? Like,
you murdered 3 comics. Like,
that was her. It was her shit.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean,
It was hers.
Oh, I mean, I knew that they all did the same stuff, but I didn't know that she was the one who provided it. Well, wonder why she's not around.
Anyway, I'm just saying that like I find this part of comedy to be the most fun, where we're just like all just swapping stories and hanging out and having a great time. And like that to me is the most fun about a green room. Like,
Yeah.
And to me, that's the hardest part about doing the road, where it's like, I just want to have conversations like this. I don't want to give you advice on how you should run your life, because I'm not a good example. Like, I don't I didn't do anything good until I did everything the wrong way. I had no idea how anything worked.
I left Boston before I had enough heat. I came to fucking LA and like just started.
No, that was the right move.
I mean, it was eventually the right move, but I should have been in a scene where I got to.
That's wrong. I think you're wrong. I think like Dave actually always told me, because I didn't start stand up till out here, right? I did not get good in Atlanta, but he was like, Sarah, starting stand up in LA is like learning to dribble in the NBA. You're not going to you are not going to pick up bad habits.
That's true.
That's the best part.
I feel like a lot of LA comics do.
I disagree. If you're watching the right people and you're at the right
I'm saying that there's so many wrong people out. Like,
of course, but you can smell those stink, and you are doing it right. You are running a room. You're doing this. You're providing opportunity for people, which means you can trade. And trade is your only commodity when you're starting out in LA.
Yeah.
The trade value.
See, but I also like, I'm very, like, I don't book people as favors. Like, I don't book like trading spots. Like, I book people that are like, they're not somebody that I know is a killer. There's somebody that I know is a killer that said, hey, this person's a killer. Like, I strictly, like, I don't read emails. I don't fucking watch. I'm not watching people's tapes.
No, you don't need to watch people's tapes. But if they run a good room,
I'm saying for running our show, and then for getting on other shows, like I want to get booked on my own.
You can leave one development spot, but your room is in an alley.
I know, but I'd rather have 6 fucking killers every show.
I agree. I mean, the quality over quantity, I think, is always been like. I ran several rooms in LA once I couldn't do bringers anymore, and like. I remember, I mean, we had a show at Lucky Strike in the bowling alley in the VIP room. And that was when Last Comic Standing had just started. So we had the benefit of that, of people who needed to work out their Last Comic Standing stuff before. And then we had 2 bowling lanes that people could hang out in. And we had our own private entrance in the back. And then we started the Unknown Theater, which was this amazing space that like was literally like this giant warehouse that this guy had turned into a theater on Sunday nights. It was $5 to get in, and you got free Bud and Bud Light all night. And I would make comics pay that. Because I'm like, if you're just gonna come and hang out, I don't know if I can get you up, but if you want to just come in and drink, you have to pay $5. I'm sorry. That's the way it goes, because the theater owner, he has a coke problem and you have to pay. But
for like I mean, comics paying to get in is not something we do, but like comics have to pay for their drinks if they're not on the show.
Right.
Yeah.
So you get unlimited Bud and Bud Light.
Yeah.
My friends that are coming are paying $5. They might drink 1 beer or none. Comics will drink 8. So you're getting your money's worth. But after that show, Chris Porter used to come up and like he could play guitar and sing songs. And so we just started doing a jam.
Yeah.
And so all these comics that could play instruments started jamming with him. Like Neil Brennan had just moved to town. Like he couldn't jam, but he would hang out. Bill Burr had just moved to town. He could play drums. So he would hang out and play drums. All these comics would play different instruments. And that started the goddamn comedy jam.
Oh, word. Yeah.
So that's where it started, was in my room. And like, we would all like just trade spots, for any of that. And like, that becomes your commodity when you're out here, where you're like, listen, I know that I'm not famous yet and I don't have all these credits, but I have a room to offer you.
Yeah.
And Jeff Ross started working his roasts out in my room. And that became my luck. So Ross started working out his roasts when the Comedy Central roast started becoming a thing. Then I see him at a birthday party randomly, and he's starting the blackberry.
Oh yeah, let me throw
he's starting the blackberry. What is it? Not a mojito.
Blackberry
julep.
Yeah, julep.
So Jeff started, and you need to muddle those.
Yes, I'm gonna muddle those. I'm just trying to get the notes app to fucking pop back up. Where is it?
What if I don't leave? What if I end up being here till
you want to just live
midnight?
here?
What if I live here?
We have an extra bedroom.
If you guys go to sarahtiana.com merch, you can get this shirt. You can also get shirts that say old mom. You can also get shirts that look like Cracker Barrel, but it says Sarah Tiana, because that's always my theme. If you get an email from me, it says sent from Cracker Barrel. I swear to God, that's been my signature for years.
I don't think I've ever been to a Cracker Barrel. There's none.
Oh,
there's none really in the Northeast.
No, there's some here. It's an hour and a half away and worth it. It's in Camarillo. You know where the outlet mall is? It's at the outlet mall in Camarillo by Oxnard.
I don't think I've been to the outlet mall.
It's a disservice. Anyway, it's fantastic. It's not that far. It's just down the 101. It's an hour down the 101.
There's just down the 101.
There's an outlet mall there. Why wouldn't you want to go to an outlet mall? You're like, oh, I'm hungry. I'm famished at an outlet mall.
And I've been tempted.
Listen, every comic needs a new Toomey bag. There's a Toomey outlet. You go there, you get a Toomey bag, you go to Cracker Barrel. Best suitcase ever.
I need to get.
Oh my God. Oh my, you have so much to learn. Anyway.
I know, I guess.
So Jeff started coming and working out roast jokes on my show. I saw him at this is my inspirational talk to you. I saw him at a birthday party. I think was it John Hamm's birthday? It doesn't matter. It was at a birthday party a couple months later. And I said, what's the next roast you're doing? And he was like, oh, I'm doing this roast for Quentin Tarantino. It's like a charity thing.
Yeah.
And I said, what's your email? And he gave me his email. And I sent him a joke. I just started sending him jokes all day, every day, until he couldn't ignore me anymore. And then finally he was like, okay, come over to my house. Actually, he started using those. And then the Charlie Sheen roast got announced. And he was like, okay, I need your help. Come over. So I went over to his house, and it was Tony Hinchcliffe and Matt Edgar. They were sitting there, and they had been trying to come up with his opening joke. And Jeff was like, I need this joke, like some sort of quote, like friends, Romans, countrymen. And I was like, lend Mike Tyson your ears. And then they were like, that's it. Like, we've been sitting here for an hour and a half, and I can't believe we didn't think of that. And so that was the moment I got hired to be Jeff Ross writer.
There you go.
And so I wrote for the Sheen roast for him. I had written some jokes for the Trump roast right before that, and for like his
Whatever happened to that guy?
I don't know. I don't think he went very many places. But anyway, then Jeff got a pilot on Comedy Central right after that, which was a roasting pilot type show. And I got hired to be a writer on that show. I was the only female writer on that show. And I got into the WGA.
Hell yeah.
Because of just like pure like so here's another story. And this is where I got the idea, because before I worked at the Beverly Hills Hotel, I worked at the Four Seasons in Doheny. I was a waitress, and this country star came in. This country group, Big and Rich. You ever heard of Big and Rich? Save a horse, ride a cowboy. They are what they are now. They're not as good friends, because John is super right wing.
Oh no.
And Kenny is the opposite. Anyway, whatever. John's still one of my. Wow, that looks so beautiful, you guys. Look at this.
Cheers to this.
Look at this blueberry. Oh, mint julep.
Cheers.
Holy shit, that looks so beautiful. It needs a little more sweet.
It needs more mint. It needs more mint.
I think it needs more sweet.
You know what? I have.
You need a little simple syrup.
I have mint simple syrup.
There you go.
I did put simple syrup in, but it needs a little. I think it needs a little more mint than anything. So let's try that. Give it a little stir.
Okay. You put the recipe in there.
Yep. It's not playing.
So when I was waiting tables at the Four Seasons, this is how I started in stand-up. I was doing stand-up at the time when I started waiting tables at the Four Seasons. And I worked at the pool. So I worked from 7 to 3, right? 5, 3, that's 8 hours. So I would get there at 6:30 instead of 7. And I would set up as fast as I could. I met Cal Ripken, I met all these amazing people. And I would set up as fast as I could. And the restaurant didn't open till 8. And then I would take the papers. We got all these newspapers every day. And at the time, the USA Today, you could get it in hard copy.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was the official hotel paper back in the day.
So the second page, when you open up USA Today, there would be 50 states. There would be a state-by-state byline of all the stories in the US, like the #1 story in the US from every state. And I would try to write from 7:30 to 8 after I set up the restaurant, as many jokes as I could about all those stories. As just like this is before Twitter, before like you had
a prompt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is like just a good exercise. And so anyway, I would do that every day. And one day John Rich comes in with Kenny. And this is when Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy is the biggest song on the radio. It is crossed over into pop culture music. It's everywhere. And so he hears my accent. No. Here's what?
I just tried to
spilled it on my shirt.
Oh.
He hears my accent and he's like, "Where are you from?" I was like, "I'm from Georgia." And he's like, "Are you an actress?" And I said, "I'm a comedian." And he goes, "Oh, I love comedy." And I said, "I know, you ordered a Chardonnay." And then I walked away. And he's dying laughing. So then he proceeds to
That is like a not country move.
I know, right? And I didn't even know I was roasting. I just like said it and walked away.
Yeah.
Like, who gives a shit? Like, I'm a fucking waitress. Who cares? Yeah. Then he calls me back over and he's like, "You're fucking hilarious," you know? Kenny ends up leaving eventually. And Kenny is like lovely. He's still a good friend. So is John to this day. And John is like, I love comedy. He's like, "I'm such a big fan. Do you have any, do you have like a video or like any kind of thing where I can see your work?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, no problem." Right. And so the next day I take one of my videos that I've submitted to like Jay Davis to do Dublin's or whatever. And I put it in an envelope and I take it to the concierge and I'm like, "Mr. Rich needs this in his room, Mr. Black," because I know that's his like pseudonym. So I have them deliver it thinking it's like, this is like everything that could get me fired. And so he calls me like right after he watches. He's like, "I watched it. It's hilarious. You're amazing." He's like, "Do you ever write jokes about country music?" And I was like, "Oh, yes, sir. All the time."
Never
written a joke about country music.
No.
He's like, "Please send me some. Here's my email." He gives me his email. And I sent him a joke every day for a year. 365 jokes. I'm not even fucking kidding. I sent him a joke every day for a year. And so John is an incredible, this is why he won Celebrity Apprentice. Like, he's an incredibly hardworking man. Like, he grew up the son of a Baptist preacher. He wrote all of Faith Hill's Mississippi Girl album. Like, he's an incredible songwriter. Like, he's a hustler. He, like, even now, so he has this like 5-story house in Nashville, and he has a 250 seat bar in his house. He's like, "I have a house in my bar." That's what he always says. He has the disco ball saddle from Gillies from Rhinestone Cowboy is his disco ball in his bar, right? And so he literally throws parties at his house. It overlooks the whole city of Nashville on top of Vanderbilt's campus. And so he'll rent out his house for $50,000 for a night. He'll host the show, and then he'll go to bed, and everybody can just party in his house. And he used to have this pool on the top of his roof that was plexiglass, and you could see in. You could see like naked girls like swimming all the time. And he was like, Sarah, oh my God, I just got rid of the pool on my roof. And I was like, oh, John, you're such a grown up. Like, you're becoming like such an adult. Like, and he's like, I got a new pool. And I'm like, oh my God, what is it? Hold on, I'm gonna show you.
And it's x-rays through women's clothes.
Let me just show you what his new pool is. Hold on. I have a picture of it. This is his new pool.
A giant guitar.
So
a giant
can y'all
guitar.
see this? Hold on.
It's guitar shaped.
Okay. It's a guitar shaped pool. He's like, this is my new pool. So the threads of the guitar is the jacuzzi. Anyway, that's his new pool. So
Iconoplast. Yeah, NBA all caps is not coming back as of now, from what I've been told. Jason keeps getting TV writing jobs, so he doesn't want to do a YouTube show anymore.
Who?
And Jason Concepcion.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
So yeah, I used to write for his NBA show.
Oh, amazing. Love it.
But now it's not coming back, so I need to find a new job. I tell people that he fired me.
Well,
doesn't like that.
I will look for a new job for you.
But
anyway, I sent him a joke every day for a year, and he started bringing me out to Nashville to perform every year at his house in his bar. And that's how I met all these country music artists, Brooks and Dunn, Brad Paisley. So I started opening for Brad Paisley. I opened for Brad Paisley at the Hollywood Bowl. Like, I was only the third comedian in the world to ever perform at the Hollywood Bowl. Before Chappelle did it this year 5 times. I did it 7 years ago. So I'm just saying that, like, taking that chance on somebody who might not be a comedian, who might just like, hey, I'll write jokes for you. I don't give a shit.
So in that same vein, I was starting to open for a comedian who was going to be touring in the US full time. I don't know if you know Daniel Sloss. He's a Scottish comedian.
Yes. I know Daniel. I did Edinburgh with him.
Oh, word. Yeah. Me and Liz are going to his wedding next year.
I love Daniel Sloss. He's very funny.
Very funny dude. And then, of course, I'm about to go on tour with him. He's here. He does the last Faded before fucking pandemic. Me and him, the last show that I did was fucking Largo in front of 300 something people. And then we were supposed to go on the road, I think that Tuesday. And he's just like, and then of course now he's got a kid and he's not coming over to the States as much. It's just like, all right.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I mean,
but that is like, that's the shit thing about COVID is like, when you were on your way up in COVID, it just like screeched to a halt. I
had left my job in November and then fucking March happened. And I was just like, oh shit, the online tutoring company I worked at, I bet I should have stayed at. But they had also sold the company like 4 months before online tutoring, like prices skyrocketed. So they were just as big of dipshits as I was. So what can you do?
That's the thing is like COVID presented new opportunities and took away old ones.
Yeah.
And I feel like in this business, you just have to be proactive. Like, it used to be that, like, when I first moved to LA, it used to be like, oh, don't tell people you're Southern. Hide your accent. Don't be who you are. Like, you don't want to be Southern. You don't want to pigeonhole yourself, right? And so I would hide my accent, or I would pretend to be something else. Or I was like, oh, I'm dirty. I talk about vaginas or whatever. And it was like, it's all like, this is not true. And I'm not connecting to it because I'm a prude. I'm a Southern girl. I remember roasting David Ortiz the day that they retired his jersey. We did this whole roast for him in Boston at House of Blues. And I was the only woman on the dais, and like Gronk and all these guys, so they're just calling me a whore the whole time.
I've got a Gronk story.
I have several. And I just got up there and I was like, y'all are giving me a lot of credit. Like, my list of sexual partners is a lot. Like, Dustin Pedroia is incredibly short. Like, and that's when I realized, like, and that joke killed, and Dustin loved, like, everybody loved. And I was like, that's who I really am, like, if I'm not being honest about myself, then in my mind, I'm thinking about the fact that people don't believe me. And when you're thinking about the fact that people don't believe you, you're distracted.
Yeah.
You have to be super, like, that's the only job in comedy, is to be honest. That's our only job.
Yeah.
Everything else is easy.
My first couple of years, I definitely wrote and performed like other people.
Of course.
Where I was just like, and then like after
you mimic. That's your that's the natural progression of a comedian.
It's the same way you learn how to fucking like swing as a child. You fucking how
do I survive?
Yeah,
I pretend to do. I'm happy, mom and dad.
Yeah. I know that they hit 300 doing this swing, so I'm gonna try that until I can fucking modify it to myself. Yeah.
Yes. And when you finally figure out who you are, I feel like Seinfeld always talked about how it takes 10 years to become a comedian. And when you finally become a comedian, it takes 10 more years to figure out
coming up on
who you are.
December.
It's like becoming a comedian is like becoming a doctor. And he always said that. It takes 10 years to become a doctor. And then when you become a doctor, you're not just a doctor. Like, you have to gather a clientele, a reputation, and then all of a sudden you're trusted. It takes 10 more years to become trusted, to find your footing, to figure out who you really are in that profession. And I feel like, to me, that's who I really am. Like, when I really sit down, I used to have this bit where I talked about how being 40, I'm just really tired all the time. And like, I don't like to do things. Like, I don't like to leave my house. I don't want to do things. I don't want to be here. And in my mind, if I was like, I hope they don't think I don't want to be here, that bit never worked.
Yeah.
But when I was like, I don't want to be here, and I committed to it, it would kill. And so your own mentality, like your own energy, means so much to the audience, because comedians are highly sensitive people, right? Like, you and I can go on stage and we can know that person's in a relationship, that person's not, that those are brother and sister, those two people are from another country, those people are happy, those people are sad. And we don't have to address that. We can just read that energy without feeling anything. And so I always take the Bill Hicks formula, which is like, I don't ask questions. I'm not here to be like, how y'all doing? I'm going to tell you how you're doing. Yeah. I'm in control. I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. I'm here to take care of you for the next 15 minutes or hour, whatever the show I'm on is. I got you. And so it took me a really long time to be comfortable with that.
Yeah. I'm the same. I don't like doing crowd work because I don't like relying on other people. I didn't get into stand up to fucking like bounce.
Crowd
I'm
work
up on my own.
Unless that's your only thing, unless you're super good, unless you're Rick Ingram, unless you're Russell Peters, unless that's your whole thing and you've made it an art, great. But otherwise, crowd work is, in my opinion, is lazy. Like, you're like, oh, I need your help.
I'm relying on you now.
I need your help to tell me what I should talk about. I remember, what's his name? Curry. Hanging with Mark Curry.
Hanging with Mr. Cooper.
The first time that I opened for him, I think it was the Funny Farm in Atlanta. He kept telling me to shorten my time because he wanted the show to be shorter. He wanted to get out of there earlier. And he would do about 20 minutes, and then he'd be like, any questions? Any questions? And then nobody would have any questions.
Of course not.
Like, he would pry them out of them. Like, any question? Come on, what do you have to and I'd be like, yeah, the question is this fucking over? Are we done? Like, can we go home? And to me, that's just like lazy comedy. Like,
I agree.
I wrote this stuff for you, and whether you like it or not, it's totally fine. You don't have to like it, but you paid money for me to deliver you a product that you can go home saying you like or you didn't like. It's not on you to provide me with material.
I'm very much of that same mind frame. I can't stand it. I'm trying to get my shit in. Like when I get on stage,
Right.
like I have a bunch of shit and it's probably more shit than the time allotted.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah,
I'm barely able to like hold for laughs. Like, cause I'm always like, I'm trying to cram fucking 14 minutes worth of shit into 10
sure,
minutes.
yeah, right.
Which
But
is
that's what your job is.
Yeah.
That's your job. Like I mean, when I'm on the road and openers are, I'm like, are you gonna do fucking crowd work? Fine. If you're gonna do it, that's on you, but just know that's lazy and I'll clean up your mess. But at the same time, you're gonna crush and people after the show are gonna be like, you were my favorite part. Because I'm gonna have to come in and reset.
Ooh, that's also another thing I absolutely fucking hate. If I'm opening for somebody, don't ever fucking walk up to me close enough to, like, you don't say it in general, but especially don't say it close enough for the fucking headliner to hear that you liked me better than the headliner, because that doesn't make me like, that doesn't fucking do me any good.
I know, but that's also, as the headliner, that's par for the course, because it happened to me the entire time I was the opener. And when you're the opener, you know, when you become the headliner, that it's going to feel the opposite way.
Yeah.
If you're that good, of course, you have, like, when you're the headliner, so the opening comic is waiting for the MC is waiting for everyone to sit down. The feature, which is the sweet spot, everyone's sitting, they've already put their drink orders in, they put their food orders in, and they've gotten their food. Like, they're in, this is like the sweet spot. But then when you come in as a headliner, you're like, people went to the bathroom after the feature was done. They're coming back. They missed the whole start. So they have no idea who you even are because they missed that. Then their food is done and they're just sitting there. They enjoy the middle part of your act. The late part of their act, they get the check. So then they're like, oh, what are you? They weren't even listening to the third part. Whenever they get the check, that's when I do all my new material. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like, your guys aren't listening.
I love the clubs that have figured out how to do a check drop without a physical check drop.
Yeah.
Like, where they're just like, here's a QR code that you pay at the end of the show with. Like, those clubs, God bless them.
But that's where theaters really come into play, because you're like, oh, there's no food or drink. There's no, like, Brad Paisley would always talk to me about that. He's like, I never want to do a show again where I have to hear forks and knives.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. Where
although
it's like,
food,
like, as a, where I am in my life
at night, there should not be food still, like, at a comedy club where
at the same time, it's like I will have people who will come to my shows who are so excited to see me. They've been drinking way too much leading up to it. And by the time I hit the stage, they're beyond wasted and they're repeating everything I say. They know every joke I'm going to tell because they're so excited. They're the ultimate fan.
They mean well, but they
mean well.
Don't
but
do
they,
well.
But they are just so excited. And I totally get it. And so I'm not going to throw you out. I'm not going to be upset. We're all just going to hang out.
Level out. Yeah. We'll get there.
I get you. Like, I feel you.
Comedy club menus should also only have 5 to 10 items. A comedy club with a fucking cheesecake factory ass menu. Get the hell out of here. There's no way you can...
No. You have 5 things. You have chicken fingers.
Make them fresh and like
nachos. What are the things? Chicken fingers, nachos.
I don't even think chicken fingers. Most of them do shitty because they do like fucking frozen ones. But there are some clubs where. But like, I'd rather clubs just do fucking 5 things and have them be fresh.
Fresh? What are they gonna have that's fresh?
Even if it was like a fucking buffalo dip, but I'm saying like
a spinach.
Some tenders that are like
tenders,
not frozen.
Chicken tenders, spinach artichoke dip.
Wings, get the fuck out of here.
What do you mean?
It's too sloppy. I don't want to see motherfuckers being sloppy, eating whole ass wings.
You should not be looking at people. You look back past them.
I don't know.
You look past the first row. You have to start. How did
this get moved?
this is the phase of becoming the headliner in a comedy club until you move to theaters. When you move to theaters, you don't have to worry about food, you don't have to worry about drinks, you don't have to worry about anything except people putting their phones into one of those digital cases that can't record.
Love those things.
Love them. But that's where you have to graduate to. And so the whole time at clubs, what you're learning is how to follow a feature that murdered. And they're like, oh, who do you want as your feature? Do you want this girl, this guy? I'm like, I'd love this woman if you're not going to brand it a girl show. I don't care.
I always
like,
request.
I want people, honestly, like I want people who are married or single so that everybody gets something. Because I'm going to talk about having a kid now.
Yeah.
I would like somebody that's different than me so that everybody gets like a full scope of like.
I always, whenever I'm going to a city, I pretty much ask like somebody that I know from there originally. I'm like, who are two people that don't look like me?
Like, for sure. I want range.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody. I don't want it to be a theme, like nothing like that.
It's supposed to be the goddamn circus. You can't have. You can't have 8 jugglers. You can't have 8 fucking. 8 for the same trapeze artists.
Let's face it. 80% of the show are papers. Like there are people who got a free ticket to come to see me. Nobody's buying tickets to see Sarah Tiana right now. You know what I mean? So like. Fine, like if you get a free ticket, I just want to overwhelm you with happiness, or maybe make you think of like positive, like possibly following me on Instagram if you feel like it, like whatever your choice is.
And that used to be, so that was a big shift that happened with comedy clubs, is that it used to be that comedy clubs were like a pillar of their, like a fucking institution in their community. And now we're all relying on the comics to be draws. It used to be that comedy club was the draw. I'm the comedy club in town. I know the good comics. I bring in the good comics. So if I put somebody in front of you,
they're gonna be good.
They're gonna be good, and you're gonna come back. No. And now it's fucking
TikTok and YouTube.
Yeah, we're gonna let's get this jabroni who's got 1 million followers off. I don't care if he sells once. That's he'll sell once. We don't care.
Which means the Fairweather fan happened to turn in their free tickets to that show. To see the guy that does puppets from TikTok, and then he's like, "This club sucks." I
can't believe this guy doesn't have an hour.
He never comes back.
Comedy sucks.
Right. Comedy sucks.
Or even worse is, here's this guy from TV 30 years ago,
right?
That hasn't written a fucking joke in 20 years. You're gonna see him. You're gonna fucking be like, it's the guy from TV 30 years ago. You're gonna go see it. You're gonna be like, oh, that was the guy from 30 years ago. And you're not gonna come back.
I know.
So a lot of those guys will cost you fucking 20 grand for a weekend, where you could just be like, oh, here this fucking new
that's why you and I
1,500 for the weekend.
But that's where you and I become hot commodities, because we charge a flat rate, and they are going to make so much more money off of food and beverage just by catering the place with free tickets. So on the same note, I totally understand. But like, I completely understand a comedy club's position of like just trying to bring people in because they only make money off
and pound foolish.
Of course, they only make money off of food and drinks anyway. Even if they brought in Jeff Ross or Spade to do that weekend, right? They're gonna get 80-90% of the door, or some of them get 100% of the door.
Yeah.
And then the club gets 100% of the drink, food and beverage, which makes so much money for them, right? The food and beverage makes more money than the ticket.
Yeah, it should.
Yeah.
If you know
what you're doing.
If you know what you're fucking even slightly doing.
Your staff is happy, they get tipped, that's how they make money. Like it's a business. And I completely understand. Like I'm a sports fan. I understand it's a fucking business. You get cut if you don't make the business work. And so like, this last year, my booking agents reached out to me. They're like, like these clubs are requesting you. And I'm like, this money is not enough money to make me leave my child for 4 days.
Especially with that, yeah.
But if they want me for these 2 days, I'll do it. Or if they want me for 3 days, this is how much it costs. And so, which is still a bargain in my opinion. Like, even if I go, like, it costs $6,000 for me to be there for 3 days. which normally I would make
Which-
3. And so I'm like, it's fine if everybody says no. But if 2 clubs say yes, fine.
And but
like you're still gonna make money. I'm not gonna sell. Then the feature, I go, I'm not gonna sell merch. You can sell all your merch, and I'll promote your merch when I do my thing so that the feature makes money on their merch. Like I'm not, there's no competition, like
yeah.
whatever it takes. Like I'm just like, my constant battle as a comic is like, what is worth the price? Because if I open for Tosh for 3 days, I'll make $6,000. If I headline Louisville for 3 days, I'll make 5.
Yeah. Then
Like,
and like in the accommodations
I'm
on
not-
for the feature will be better than the fucking headline.
I'd rather sleep on Tasha's bus.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
nicer. But I'm just saying, like it's all the same to me. 5,000 and 6,000 is all the same amount to me because it doesn't matter. Like I'm only bringing home half of that anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't like, at least with Tosh, I don't have to split commission. I don't have to pay commission on Tosh because his agency, we have the same agents.
Oh yeah.
Which
So they
takes
just
the
take it
overall
off
deal.
his end.
They take it off of his end. They can't take it off of mine because we're under the same umbrella. But so I'm just saying that, like, if a club wants me to come, I'm like very happy to be there, and I'm there to make you money as a club. But just know that, like,
Yeah, with
it's
once
not
you have another
conducive
like
for me.
person, it's a whole fucking other thing. It's just like, how much do I want to leave my fucking baby and disrupt it?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Like, and now that my son is a monster, I'm
How
like,
old is he
get me
now?
the fuck out.
Yeah.
You know, even tonight, he's like, you gotta go work. I go, yeah, I gotta go work.
I gotta go to
I
work.
gotta go
I
work.
gotta go fucking.
But,
This is work.
you know, he's still gonna wake me up at 5:30 in the morning, like a goddamn Marine. So it's like, but I'm just saying that, like, the world of comedy is changing,
Yeah.
which is fine. And I feel like as
Which is good.
comics,
I
we
like
have
it.
to adapt
Yeah.
and we have to become better. Like this whole idea of like, oh, there's cancel culture. You can't say this, you can't say that. I'm like,
The game got harder. As every other game has gotten
the
harder.
out of
You had to
bounds
be in a-
changed.
Yeah.
It's like Cat Williams said.
Yeah.
Cat Williams came, like, every once in a while, Cat Williams comes off his mountain and like blesses us with his perspective, which is very rare. But like, he was like, no one's been canceled that I've missed, which I love.
Who's been punished?
Right. No one's been punished and no one's doing any, like, the whole, there's no comedy unless there's an out of bounds. There's no out of bounds. Comedy isn't fun.
Yeah.
And sports doesn't work if there's no penalty for going here or here. You have to have an out of bounds. You have to have restrictions. And if you can play within those restrictions, you're a fucking beast.
Yeah.
And so I feel like comedy is constantly evolving and changing. And so you, as a comedian, it's your job to adhere. Like, how do I still make it fun? Like, and that happens as a writer on network TV where they go, oh, this is ESPYS. Like, you can't say this, you can't say that. And you go, all right, I'm going to fucking figure it out. And then you figure it out. And when you get a joke in, you feel like a goddamn American hero because you got a joke in despite all these restrictions. And that's exactly what becoming a stand-up comedian is like nowadays.
And 90% of entertainment was easier to do in the 1950s, I feel like, because it was easier to be in the fucking NBA. It was easier to be like, it was easier to be in the NFL. It was easier to do all these things. It was easier to be a fucking stand-up comic because 90% of like originality didn't matter back then. It was comics would fucking like, you
didn't need new material.
Sell material to other comics who would travel with it. And you're in the fucking Poconos doing those jokes. It doesn't matter. I'm down here in the fucking
same
cats.
routine for 20 years. Now you have to have a new
hour
every
year.
year.
Gonna be a fucking.
They're like, oh, I have a special coming out. I'm like, is it special?
Yeah.
Why do they call them specials? They're not special anymore.
It's a yearly drop. You're
It's
fucking.
not
You're mad.
special.
You're mad now. You're dropping a fucking a bugged up product every fucking year just because you think it's the fucking time.
Forcing comedy is absolutely the worst. And that's why, honestly, I think to me, I mean, Burr is amazing because Bill like literally can generate so much stuff because he's that angry in real life. And I know him as a human being, and people always go like, oh, remember that time Bill Burr buried you on the End of the World podcast? And I'm like, oh, remember that time Bill Burr and I argued in public?
Yeah.
Like we do all the time in the Comedy Store, like in the hallway, but you guys got to see it. Yeah, I disagree with Bill Burr. Fucking murder me. Like, and by the way, I was fucking right. But anyway, I will just say this, like, comedies like specials anymore don't feel special unless you can really generate material. And there are certain comics that can generate material that quickly. Other than that, a lot of times it feels forced.
Yeah. I feel most comics first and second specials are the only ones that really matter.
They don't feel special. And like,
but I'm saying like, as far as like, I'm saying like their first and second thing that they drop. Because after that, it's just like, all right, well, I've done, you know.
oh, and I just got 2 more special. Okay,
yeah,
now I have to make 2 more comedy albums in a year. Like, to me, Jeselnik and I used to run rooms together when we first started out here. We ran room 5. We used to like write for an hour and a half before the show, before we would try our stuff out at room 5. And we stole that show from this guy that was Mitzi's assistant at the store. Anyway. But like Jeselnik won't even perform for a year. He'll just write it for a year. Then he performs it in clubs for a year until he gets it right. Then he performs it in theaters for a year.
That's nuts.
And at the end of that theater tour, he tapes his special. And that to me is the perfect, if you really care about your material and you really care about comedy, which I know, but if that's your main purpose, to me, Jeselnik is a student of the game. Like Jeselnik is always the one, he is the comedy police. If there is a comedy police, which he would hate it if I said it, if any of you guys sent him this clip, he would be so mad at me. But he is who I look to like for purpose. Like if I think, is this good? Is this terrible? Is this stupid? Anthony will always tell me.
Paul says no snitches in the chat.
Anthony will always tell me when I'm right or when I'm wrong, when I'm good or when I'm bad. And there's been so many moments in our lives when I've reminded him of a bit that I love that he forgot about, you know, that he'll start trying again. Or when like him and I, when we think about, like, I think about the time, like I remember writing this bit with him, which I think was his idea, about how like all the kids in my high school, all the girls in we had a daycare center in my high school when I was growing up, mostly for the students. Yes. You know, and it was always the white girls got pregnant because we didn't allow Black kids in our school. And, you know, he like helped me write that joke. And like that was 20 years ago that we wrote that joke. Like, that's insane to me. And, you know, like that joke could get me canceled today, but like, it's still such a funny joke because it's not true. Like, that's the funny part. Like, the funny part of comedy is like the fact that it's obscure and ridiculous and not true. But
there's also, so back to the Burr thing, because like Burr's an old man who's complaining about like the way things are, but he's complaining about it from a perspective where he knows he's wrong. Where he's like, I'm the old piece of shit. I know I'm wrong here. But like, here's like, there's old pieces of shit who complain, who are like, I'm right. And he's like, no, I know I'm wrong, but I'm still going to complain about this. So that it like, it takes the edge off where you just go like,
sure.
there's I don't even know how to put it, but like there's less of a harshness to it, which
I always feel like with Bill, like I've known Bill and Nia for a really long time.
and that's his wife, correct?
Yeah, Nia, who is amazing. Like
Yeah.
his wife is incredibly amazing and beautiful and hot. But like when I think about Bill Burr, I think about arguing with him about hockey in the Comedy Store hallways.
Are you a Thrashers fan?
No, I'm actually a Kings fan because I didn't feel like I had a hockey team when I moved to LA, and a friend of mine was dating a Calgary Flames player for a long time, and then or a coach, and then I became friends with a Flames player who ended up transferring to the Kings, and I had become a pseudo Kings fan because I didn't really have a hockey team. Anyway, we had season tickets to the Kings for years.
Jonathan Quick, I used to drink with back in
that boy
college.
Quick. That boy Quick.
Fucking Zoomass Slam.
Stone Street's a huge Kings fan. You know, we would, yeah, huge. So anyway, Bill Burr and I would argue about hockey in the hallway of the Comedy Store, and then he would also give me recipes. He loved pork chops on a cast iron skillet. He was also on the Ortiz roast.
Yeah.
And then he was like,
he told me fucking performed at Fenway last week.
I know. He told me I had his favorite joke on the Ortiz roast, which was because I was making fun of Anthony Mackie. And I was like, you know, if you wonder why white people think all black people look the same, maybe it's because one of you played Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. And it was you.
It was David Ortiz.
Yeah.
What if he did?
By the way, I thought one of my favorite jokes on that roast, fucking Gronk said, Sarah Tiana always reminds me of a quarterback because whenever I see her, I'm like, I'll pass.
I
love Rob.
I meant to tell the Gronk story.
Oh yeah,
yeah. It involves Daniel Sloss. We were backstage because he was taping Conan, and I hear a knock at the door, and I open it, and there stands a Gronk.
A Gronk.
Head to toe in Monster Energy tracksuit. And he goes,
shameless.
He goes, oh, hey guys, my shower's broken. Can I use your shower? And I'm like, okay, Gronk.
Sure, Gronk.
He goes in, uses the shower, comes out in a different Monster Energy tracksuit.
I'm sorry,
it was ridiculous. And he was somebody that I used to run into quite a bit back in Boston, and never had a bad interaction with him. A lot of Patriots players.
Yeah.
Chandler Jones. Don't like you, bud.
Aaron Hernandez.
In
prison.
Yo, I was so.
Shut up.
The club that he was at the night he murdered somebody is Nick's Comedy Stop during the night, like before 10 o'clock. I was hosting that that weekend. So like the next day I come back, Channel 7 News is like all around, and they're like, hey, were you here last night? I was like, yeah, until like 10 o'clock. And they're like, oh, okay, never mind. I was just like, all right, what's going on? They're like, yeah, Aaron Hernandez killed somebody. I was like, ah.
Holy shit. By the way, that podcast
done
by the Boston Globe.
The
Boston Globe did a podcast about Aaron Hernandez, which is fascinating. But it's kind of like the Steve McNair podcast where you're just like,
oh, it was the same, yeah.
Blown. But like, yeah, that's nuts, dude.
Was it not the same people that produced it?
No, because the Boston Globe did the Hernandez bit.
Oh, it was the same people that distributed it. I feel
maybe.
I forget what it's called, but yeah, because it was like the only reason I found the Steve McNair thing was because the Hernandez thing led me into it. Oh shit, we're coming up on close to.
Oh, we're way past. We're over time.
Yeah, normally we wrap this up at 8:30. I guess we should start winding it down. Hold on, Kenny said to check my messages.
Oh, sorry, you guys. I'm really sorry if I talked about a lot of nonsense and then like didn't make anything funny or cool. I have no idea.
No, we had a fantastic time. Everybody.
I drank a lot. And so I probably am going to get in trouble with a lot of my friends.
Well, I don't think we did anything scandalous.
I definitely didn't say anything scandalous. I have plenty
think
of
we're- I think
secrets
we're-
that I didn't disclose.
I think we're all in the clear. So
Tell this guy.
anything we want to plug or promote before we hop
Yes.
off?
So if you go to sarahtiana.com
Mhm.
merch, you will get so I'm the same age as Hank Aaron's number, which is the number, this 44 is the number of my comedy special, which has a Cracker Barrel theme. So you'll see a Cracker Barrel theme shirt and another shirt that says Old Mom, because that's who I am, an old mom. So that's all my new merch. You can watch me on Inside College Football, and you can watch me on the new Prime Video show called Pile On, hosted by Taryn Killam. That will be out September 14th.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well, goddamn. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. We had a
Yeah.
fun little chat tonight. You guys were very active. I know we were normally with Adam, it's a lot easier to manage the chat because I can be like, Adam, what's
Iconoclast.
and Adam can yell out to me when there's something going on in the chat that I need to be aware of. But I can't really see it as well as I would like to. So next week, well, I'm sure we'll have it all figured out. Tonight was the first night with me running things again. It's been a while. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
My drink's almost empty. My third drink. Thank you, Iconoclast, for saying that. Sorry, we're the same age as I burped. Like, what a jerk. Sorry. Anyway,